Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the Publix parking lot. Yes, I'm wearing the same thing that I wore the other day because it's the same day, but I wanted to talk to you about something because it was on my mind and I wanted to know what your thoughts are. Like, genuinely, I'm curious about what you guys have to say about this. So the other day, Russ and I are chatting, as we so often do, and we were talking about our recent experience at the Contemporary. Now, I know we didn't talk a whole lot about this at the time. It just was secondary to kind of everything else that we were discussing, but our stay at the Contemporary in that theme park view was not booked as a Contemporary stay with a theme park view. We had booked Bay Lake Tower, and they called us on check-in day and they were like, your room is not available. So we would like to move you over to the Contemporary if that's okay. And they were very apologetic, and I really do appreciate that. But I also think that it was a pretty amazing opportunity to stay somewhere like the Contemporary because it is very expensive. Now, did we plan on getting a theme park view at the Contemporary at some point anyway? Yes, it's on our list of things to do, but it's something that we were going to do down the line, so we had some time to save up for it. Nonetheless, we ended up having our stay at the Contemporary in a theme park view, which is what we booked over at Bay Lake Tower, just for clarity's sake. So it was kind of an apples to apples swap. It wasn't an upgrade, if you will, not necessarily by definition, but this is where I want to know from you, because while I am super excited to be able to stay in that room, which is, by the way, we stayed on Memorial Day weekend, which would have been like $1,200 a night for that room that we stayed in, which is, yikes, crazy amount of money. But also, I think it was worth it. And I don't just say that because of the situation that we were in specifically. I would pay a pretty penny for that room. Of course, you can get it for less than $1,200 a night if you're not staying during a peak time. But anyway, that's a discussion for another day. What I want to know, especially from those of you out there who are Disney Vacation Club members, is would you consider this an upgrade? Or is this kind of a downgrade for you? Now, I know that there are some people who automatically are going to be like, hold on a second, what are you talking about? Is this a downgrade? You got this beautiful room that was, as you just said, like $1,200 a night had you paid out of pocket for it. But there's a difference between Disney Vacation Club rooms and standard hotel rooms at Disney resorts. One of those differences being centered around food and the food that you can have in your room at any given time. Now, the room that we stayed in did have a beverage cooler, so we were able to put some foods and snacks in there that we had brought with us, but it didn't have a microwave or any of the amenities that you would get if you were in a deluxe studio over at Bay Lake Tower. So it didn't have like cutlery in the room, it didn't have a microwave in the room, and so that definitely means it's a different room and it's a different experience, especially if you're a Disney Vacation Club member who is planning your trip around having those amenities. So not being in a DVC room definitely means a trade-off, and even Disney communicated that to us when we got the phone call from them saying that we were going to be in a different room, which I totally understood that this was going to be the case when they put us over in the Contemporary, but they were very clear, like, you will not have the amenities of a microwave or anything like that that you would expect from a deluxe studio over on the DVC side. The kitchenette area isn't going to exist here, and of course it didn't in the Contemporary room. Now, you can see that if you check our room tour, if you're interested in seeing the whole room in detail. We did do a room tour, so you can check that out, and we did do a room review as well. But I'm really curious to know how you guys feel about this type of thing. Would this have changed the experience for you, especially if you were coming in from wherever and you maybe were prepared to have a fridge and a microwave and everything? Don't forget, they told us this on check-in day. So this wasn't something that they told us ahead of time and we could have prepared for if we would have been driving in or flying in. We maybe would have had things that were going to require a microwave or require a bigger refrigerator than just a beverage cooler. So I'm just curious. Actually, Russ and I are both curious about your thoughts on this. Now, in terms of how we felt about this, and I know I've kind of held off on this until the end because I wanted you to formulate your own opinions here, but we thought it was great to be able to experience the Contemporary side versus Bay Lake Tower, though the whole point was us experiencing Bay Lake Tower. But spoiler alert, we have booked another room at Bay Lake Tower, so we'll see if we can get in there, or, you know, we'll see what happens. Of course, Bay Lake Tower is about to go into refurb, so I don't know if that's going to impact us one way or another. I would really like to see Bay Lake Tower before it gets refurbed, but anyway, we thought it was wonderful to be able to experience the Contemporary, and we absolutely loved it. And of course, there is like a trade-off, right? So if you stay Bay Lake Tower, there's a lot of things about the Contemporary that you're not getting from Bay Lake Tower. If you stay Contemporary, there's a lot of DVC things that you're not getting because you're staying in the Contemporary. So it kind of feels like the scales are a little bit balanced, and I have a hard time being like, this wasn't really an upgrade or this was a downgrade. It just wasn't the same thing. So I don't even really know how to articulate my thoughts on this because I loved it. I enjoyed staying at the Contemporary. It's something that I wasn't expecting, so it felt special. But if this were a vacation, and a vacation like we would do, where we bring our own meals and we count on having that microwave available to us, I do see how this could feel like a downgrade, and it could feel kind of like it sprung on you, you know? I thought it was interesting because they just were clear, like, you won't have access to a microwave. And it made me think, like, could they not have found a microwave and put it in the room so that at least you had that amenity? I don't know. There was space for it. Would that have been something that you would have requested and asked for? You know, for us, it wasn't a big deal because, again, we just changed up our plans and didn't bring our dinner along with us, and we got dinner at the resort, which is something we might have done anyway. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this. It's such an interesting, like, thought experiment, and I figure since we have so many great conversations, we could have this one too. So let me know your thoughts in a comment down below. Of course, I'd love to know if you've ever stayed at Bay Lake Tower. What did you think of Bay Lake Tower? Also, what did you think in comparison to Contemporary? Some of you may have stayed at both. If you haven't, even based on our room tour, I would love to know what you have to say. And yeah, I think this will be a fun conversation. So join it in the comments down below. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you have to say. Like, super interested in your perspective on this. So I'm going to run into the grocery store now because I got to grab a few things. And I'll eagerly await your responses. Until then, have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say. And of course, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on our next adventure. So I'll see you there. Bye.